All right, welcome back to Not Financial Advice. I'm going to ask you to like the video, and today we are taking a look at Visa. At the request of a viewer who wanted me to take a look into this company and the price of their stock. So, as always, we're starting off here on Qualtrim. It's a service that I pay for, but not one that I'm affiliated with. And we're going to be taking a look at Visa. First thing we'll do is we're going to take a look at um, some of the ratios around Visa that are relevant. So this is a quite large company. It's a large cap uh, blend style company with the forward PE ratio of almost 26, which is kind of high. Really high free cash flow yield, 4.7%. So at every dollar they handle, they end up with $4.73 of bottom line profit. Their cash and debt is about equal, so that seems okay to me. Um, Additionally, we can see they pay about half of the market's dividend yield, but with a huge amount of growth potential, with that payout ratio being about 23%. So there's a lot of room for this dividend to grow. Dividend is very, very likely to grow over the next 5, 10, 20 years. Okay, so with that in mind, let's take a look at the price of Visa stock, how it's been performing. And so, as we know, prices of stocks go up and down based on people's emotions and news events. But generally, the value that a business creates and the fair value of the stock kind of moves in a straight line. And so, if we just sort of establish a trend line here, um, this initial glance might suggest that the company is somewhat overvalued, but we will get back in here and take a look at some of their actual performance so we can get a better idea of the value of this stock. So let's take a look at revenue first. So up and to the right, let's look at what happened to Visa's revenue during the banking crisis and uh, the Great Recession. So didn't really affect this company. Things continued to go up and the right at all times during that. Let's see how the stock price performed during the beginning part of the COVID pandemic. So black swan event took them a couple quarters to bounce back. So 2019 was 23 billion, 2021 was 24 billion. So even a black swan event barely touched their revenue growth. So we're going to look at these numbers. On average, over the last 10 years, they've grown at 10.9%. Over the last 5 years, they've grown at 9.8%. And so it's pretty steady up and to the right. Lots of great high revenue growth here, relatively high. So let's take a look at free cash flow. It goes up and to the right. A little bit choppy, but pretty consistently up and to the right. It looks like their free cash flow is impacted when there's, potentially some. 2013 was kind of a rough year in the market and the economy. 2020 was obviously weird. 2015 and 2016 were kind of weird as well, but it's up and to the right and it's pretty sharp. So let's take a look at shares outstanding. So Visa is a company that buys back shares. We love that. Let's take a look at Visa's ability to take our stock dollars or bonds that they sell and convert that profitably into return on capital employed. So very high. Visa is able to reinvest in itself very, very profitably at over 20%. So that's a check mark. Now, we're going to take a look at the relative valuation on a PE basis of Visa stock. And so it's traded at a premium for a long time. And it's traded, as high as 36 to 40 PE, but we're actually at a pretty low area on PE. So I like that. Let's take a look at insider buys and sells. So right now, insiders are dumping shares. Although we did have some insiders middle and late last year purchased shares around $220. Current stock price is $235. But for the most part, insiders are dumping shares, probably trying to buy a yacht or a second yacht. So the stock is trading for $235. We're gonna go to our DCF calculator and get an idea of what the fair value might be. But real quick, let's just get into how Visa makes money. So one thing that people might not know is that Visa doesn't make money on interest from credit cards. And so this is my understanding. Essentially, when a dollar is spent off of a Visa card, or $100 is spent off of a Visa card, I believe Visa gets about $1 of that. Okay, so when people swipe, they get paid. Service is another part of their segment. I believe this is when Visa gives banks and credit unions Visa cards. So I think banks and credit unions have to pay Visa licensing fee to use Visa cards. But yeah, they mostly make money just sort of skimming off the top when people swipe their card. And then also they do the same thing on international transactions. So they kind of run the spread and work with exchange rates. And so the more international travel and business that happens, the more money that Visa makes. So that's kind of how Visa makes its money. Let's come back in here. Price is $235. We saw the revenue numbers that we looked at earlier. So I've inputted all of that data here. And so this is the average free cash flow the last 5 years, cash on hand, total debt, shares outstanding. Growth rates, I put at a conservative 9, 7, and 3 with a 10% discount rate, which is required rate of return. $235 stock value, 187. Okay. So maybe probably a little bit overvalued. But one thing I'm going to note is this is a company with a high return on capital employed. It's a wide moat company. It's a company that is pretty superior in many, many, many different ways. So it often trades at a premium, as we saw when we looked at the PE multiple. So let's just come back in here, and I'm going to make some more aggressive assumptions, or maybe even potentially more realistic assumptions, and see what happens when we just tweak these numbers a little bit. And when we, put in some different numbers, we can see that it's still a little bit high. But this is a company that, because of its moat, because of its profitability, because of its consistent growth and good balance sheet, I own it. I'm going to continue to own it. I'll even continue to buy it at this level. But essentially, that fair value of around 180, we can just see here. That there was a time. We can just see here that there was a time when it sort of got closer to that, and that was at the bottom of the bear market of 2022. So that's all. Make sure to subscribe to my channel on the way out. Like the video if you haven't already. And if there are any other stocks or companies or businesses you'd like for me to take a look at, just go ahead and drop the ticker symbol in the comment section below, and I'd be happy to get that out for you. All right. Hey, thanks a whole lot. See you next time. Bye.